We can start because we have a quorum in the room. We have Councilmember Brian Risley and Larry Bias and Rick and Andy and myself, Holly Williams, and online it looks like we have Councilmember Avila and Councilmember Helms. Did he make it? Okay. And read the rest for me.
I'm happy to. We also have Commissioners Geithner and Gonzalez and Mayor Dixon.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So we'll call this meeting to order, and I will first take a motion to approve the agenda. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Helm second.
Okay.
You can take it, Randy.
And
Okay.
is there anyone opposed to the motion? Please speak up. We'll just do it that way. We'll do it opposite. Okay, that motion passes. Okay, let's have a resolution because the town of Rama Director Paul Belt, he is no longer able to serve with us. So it says resolution by the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority Board of Directors acknowledging appreciation to town of Rama Director Paul Belt, August 14, 2024. Whereas the town of Rama is a member government of the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority, and whereas town of Rama Director Paul Belt served as trustee for the town of Rama from July 2020 until July 2024, when he served as a Pikes Peak PPRTA board director from August 2023 until July 2024. And whereas the town of Rama Director Paul Belt has served the citizens of the town of Rama and the Pikes Peak region with distinction, now therefore be it resolved, the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority Board of Directors wishes to acknowledge their deepest gratitude to town of Rama Director Paul Belt for his commitment to regional transportation planning and projects, for his wise counsel, and for his dedication to the advancement of the transportation projects of the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority. Resolved, approved, and adopted by the Board of Directors of the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority this 14th day of August 2024 at Colorado Springs, Colorado, signed Holly Williams, Chair, Board of Directors, and attested to by Rick Sonnenberg, Board Secretary. And I don't think that Paul was able to make the meeting. So we have appreciated Paul's service, so I will accept a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved, Carrie Geithner.
So moved. Okay.
Okay, and a second
I'll second.
from Brian Risley. And is all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That way we can hear y'all. Okay, we'll get this out along with the hat for the Pikes Peak RTA to Paul, and we greatly appreciate his service.
Commissioner
right.
Williams, if you don't mind on future votes, if you could just ask if anyone's opposed, just since we're half and half today.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. Was anyone
That's
opposed
okay.
to that? Okay.
We just have enough voices that
Um,
I'm not able to count them all live, so.
Okay. I am sorry, I skipped over number 3 for the public comment period for items not on the agenda. The public can email general comments or questions regarding the agenda in advance of the meeting to the PPACG office manager at conference@ppacg.org. Public comment speakers are limited to 5 minutes each, whether in person or via Zoom. Is there anyone available for public comment today? Please raise your hand. Okay, there isn't. Thank you. Item number 5 is approval of the minutes from the July 10th, 2024 meeting. If everyone's had a chance to review the minutes, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, motion
I'll
is
second.
so moved. We have a
Yeah,
first
second.
and a second by
Second,
John
John
Graham.
Graham. Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
all right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay, that passes. We'll turn the time over to Larry Tobias for our Citizens Advisory Committee monthly report.
Larry Tobias, first vice chairman of the Citizens Advisory Committee. At our meeting on August the 7th, we had no public comments. Lisa gave us our financial reports and it was looking good and continues to be good. So hopefully throughout the rest of the year, those numbers continue to stay positive for the rest of the year. City of Colorado Springs contract, we approved a positive recommendation for one contract as presented to the CAC. El Paso County, we approved a positive recommendation for one contract as presented to the CAC. Town of Rama contract, approved a positive recommendation for one contract as presented to the CAC. We had the City of Colorado Springs Transit Service monthly update, which was information only. That was presented to the CAC and was well received. Town of Green Mountain Falls, IGA regarding advancement of funding for PPRTA 3 capital project, approved a positive recommendation. And there wasn't much discussion since the CAC and the board has already approved a couple of these advance fundings. This was a continuation of what has been approved in the past. Board Policy 34, PPRTA, state and federal discretionary grant match fund. Approved a positive recommendation for the draft policy. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I asked Rick to have the attorney Jennifer Ivey to look in and review this. It turns out, and we will get into a little bit more discussion as we go along, that we need to send it back to the CAC with some recommendations to properly get it in its format. So like I say, we'll get into some more discussion about that. City of Colorado Springs monthly change order and property acquisition report was presented information only. City of Colorado Springs Powers North reimbursement update. It was information only, but we asked a couple questions. The project still is behind schedule, but in talking to the city engineer, it's because of major utility relocations that have had some difficulties. I also asked her roughly about when this project will be completed, and it's tending toward the end of this year. So hopefully, Randy, you will see this intersection opened up and traffic will be flowing again sometime toward the end of this year.
Hopefully sooner.
El Paso County monthly change order. Hopefully sooner. El Paso County monthly change order and property acquisition report, information only. Report of recent board actions, information only, that were presented to the CAC by Rick. We had no agenda topics that were asked or presented, and there were no communications presented to the CAC.
Okay, are there any questions for Larry? All right, there being no questions, I will take a motion to accept the Citizens Advisory Committee monthly report.
Mayor Dixon, I'll move
So
to
moved
accept.
by Brian Risley.
I'll second John Graham.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that is accepted. Lisa, our monthly financial reports.
All right, Lisa Corey, Finance Manager for the PPRTA. Unfortunately, I do not have monthly financials. On Thursday, the Department of Revenue did some updating on their system, which made it where you cannot run revenue reports. I followed up with them yesterday afternoon to find out when this might be fixed. They have been working on it since last Thursday, but I was not given an ETA on when this issue would be resolved. As soon as it's made available and I have the financials done, I will email them out to everyone, but I just don't really know what to say for when that might be available.
Well, we can always hope.
Yeah.
So we will have double reports next month, hopefully. Okay, item 8A, City of Colorado Springs. Who do we have on today? Is it Gail?
Gail Servant
Okay.
with the City of Colorado Springs. As Larry mentioned, the city had one contract for consideration this month. It is for pre-overlay pipelining products. The city went through, we do this pipelining in advance of doing maintenance applications of piping, and this happens underneath roads where we use PPRTA maintenance funding. The city went through an RFP process. We selected Inliner Solutions LLC in the amount of $431,462.50, and that would be paid out of $312,000 out of the companion drainage improvements, and the remaining $119,000 and change from our maintenance funds. So that's the one project we have for consideration for board approval today. And
Okay, are there any questions for Ms. Sturtevant? Okay, hearing no questions, is there a motion to approve the Colorado Springs project?
I move approval of Colorado Springs projects. John Graham.
Randy
And
Helms.
Randy
Second.
will second that. All in
Yes.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes. El Paso
Thank you.
County, is Josh or Jeff available? Josh.
Good afternoon, Josh Palmer, County Engineer. The county has one item to bring before you today for approval, and it is a property acquisition in the amount of $150,000. And this is for one temporary easement, contemporary construction easement, and one permanent easement for the Beacon Light Road project. And there's a map in the packet that shows the limits and the location of this property acquisition. And this is necessary, and this is the last non-government agency property that this project needs. The last one being the conservation easement that we're working with Douglas County on up off of County Line Road, which is still unofficially pending. But this is the last of the known property acquisitions that this project will need that we're requesting approval.
Okay, are there any questions for Josh?
I'd just like to throw in one comment. Josh indicated that this project is getting very near to going out to bid, and what they're looking at is bidding it, but in 2 phases. So if they could start like at the southern end while they're still working out that easement problem with the 105 and the park up there. But he said it would be all one contract, but just 2 phases of it.
Okay, and this project has been a B-list project since the initial PERTA 1. As the gentleman who lives up at the top of this road continually reminds me. So we'll have a motion to approve. I'll go ahead and move to approve this one. It's in my district. A second?
I'll second John Graham.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that passes. The town of Rama has a project.
This is Rick. Cindy called me yesterday and asked me to cover this for her. So sorry, I'm not quite ready, but it's to use the balance, the $30,000 balance of their capital project money from PPRTA 2. What they did with most of their money was chip sealing several roads in their town. This is gonna use up the rest of their money for some more chip sealing on portions of Rock Island Avenue and Commercial Street.
Nice. Okay, the vendor is Academy Paving. The contract is for 30,000. Is there a motion to approve this?
I'll move approval, John Graham.
Thank
Second, Mayor
you.
Dixon.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay, thank you. That passes. 9A, the City of Colorado Springs Transit Services monthly update. Is Lan available?
Yes, I am
Okay.
here. Thank you, Madam Chair. Line Rail Transit Services Division Manager. In our report, you might notice a decreased ridership for the month of June. And the main reason for this decrease compared to last year is because of the zero fare that we were able to offer in June last year. But this year's zero fare is limited to July and August. So that is what you will notice in this report. Moving on to the transit highlights section. The first item under transit highlight is our proposed fall service change. The main changes we're proposing this fall is to extend the evening service hours on 3 routes, Route 18, 19, and 39. The main reason behind this change is to basically align the operating hours on those 3 routes to the rest of the system. Majority of our routes end between 9:30 to 10 p.m. on weekday evenings, but those 3 routes end a lot earlier. So with this change, we'll make the system align better and people will have better connections. We received 7 new diesel buses between the end of June and end of July. We're working on getting those vehicles ready for service. Right now, they're going through inspections, IT testing, Buy America audit, and vehicle registration. So we're hoping to see those new buses on the road in the next few weeks. And also included in our report is an update on the Bike to Work Day event. We had a very decent turnout this year. We were not able to track every single participant stopping at our station, but we were able to hand out 125 smoothies. So we're going with that number, and we were very happy to see this turnout. That wraps up my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? What type of smoothies? She may not have heard me. Okay. All right. If there's no questions, we'll move on to 9B. That was an information only item. Town of Green Mountain Falls request regarding advancement of funding for the Pikes PPRTA 3 capital project. Mayor Dixon?
Yeah, I can go over that. We're working with Karen Rowe, PPACG's grant coordinator, to go after a regional grant. And one of the elements of that grant would be our bridge. Our bridge is actually included in PPRTA 3, but we need to go out and do some cost estimates. We've received the estimate for the estimates from the engineering firm, and it is within the dollar amount that we've identified. It's under the 10,000. So yeah, basically we're asking to go ahead and spend the money now and then get reimbursed when we get actually into RTA 3.
Okay, are there any questions?
I'll just note that this follows the exact same form that we had for City of Colorado Springs in El Paso County, other than obviously changes to the entity name and the project, but otherwise it's the exact same form of intergovernmental agreement.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve this request?
I move to approve as requested, John Graham.
Okay, a second?
Second, Carrie Geithner.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Item number 9C, I will turn over to Rick, which is the Pikes Peak RTA 3 State and Federal Discretionary Grant Match Fund Policy.
As the board will recall, in most of 2021, we went over what we affectionately call a matrix covering many different topics, one of which was the generation of the idea, the concept of having a state and local, state and federal, sorry, grant match fund, which eventually the board decided to put on the PPRTA 3 capital list that went to the voters in 2022. And the voters that we worked on most of 2021, the board liked the idea of allowing not only the A-list projects to be available to use this, but B-list and non-listed. And I apologize to the board, what I missed in the review in 2021 was going back and looking at section 615 of the establishing IGA that only allows a simple majority votes of those present, those board members present. So the IGA only allows for simple majority votes of present board members, not a supermajority. But that was what we discussed in 2021 and liked, the board liked it. And then that's what I put in the draft board policy 34, which Jared, if you can scroll up to the board policy, it's the last paragraph. Obviously, this grant match fund is available for any A-list project in PPRTA 3 when we get to that in 2025. And of course, member government staffs are starting to work on their budgets for 2025. So A-list projects would be available to use this grant match fund, but since the establishing IGA only allows simple majority votes, and the board approved the matrix in 2021, providing for a supermajority vote for B-list or non-listed capital projects to use this fund, that 2/3 supermajority for B-list and non-listed is incompatible with the 615 of the establishing IGA, which controls, so we can't use that last paragraph. So the staff recommendation is to send this back to the CAC with a list of 4 or 5 or 6 options for the CAC to think about. So the bottom line is recommending postponement because supermajority votes are not allowed by the current establishing IGA. Questions?
And Jennifer, did you want to chime in as well?
Yeah, I was just going to restate slightly. It's not that a supermajority vote is not permissible. It's really just that the IGA says that all votes of the board will be by simple majority unless otherwise provided in the establishing IGA. So there are some provisions for differential votes within the establishing IGA itself. And Rick's being a little harsh on himself, but 616 does also say that the board can pass other policies or rules governing the board's conduct. My best read of that is that doesn't trump the simple majority provision in 615, since that is more specific. So my concern when I reviewed this was just to flag that, and I think it's best that the board either decide in a different mechanism, which we have some ideas for that will go to the CAC and come back to this board, or that if it's so important to have a supermajority that we would need some tweaks to the IGA to clarify that that is allowed.
Yeah, and I think the important thing here, so we have several different ideas, such as, for example, making sure that this is a completely separate vote on a project if we elevate a B list or a non-listed project to use the discretionary grant match fund program, or we modify the establishing IGA. The importance of this policy is that we always stick with our A-list projects and we are very transparent with the voters. So at any point in time that we decide to vote to elevate a B list or even a non-listed project because we're getting federal grant money or state grant money. The IIJA has a lot of federal grant money out there right now. We want to find a way that we can make sure we're super transparent with the voters so that they know we're still abiding by what we said we would do. So as opposed to voting on this today, we'd like to postpone it and send it back to the CAC to go over some options and then revisit the subject next month. Do we have any other comments? Rick.
So I have a question for Josh and Gail, who are probably starting to work on your 2025 budgets, which is most of which is going to be PPRTA 3. Do you have any B list or non-listed capital projects that you are going to try to place into this fund in your budget request that you'll be submitting in late September?
Rick, this is Gail Sturdent with the City of Colorado Springs. So as of right now, the answer is no. We did find out last week that we received one federal discretionary grant that we were planning on using the local match from our intersection improvements program fund. So you will see that in our budget. And that had been our plan and been taken to the board before we did our submittal earlier this year, but nothing in this particular category as of right now.
The same for the county. We don't have anything planned for, at least for 2025.
Okay. All right, so let's keep that on the radar and we'll let the CAC revisit it. Do I need to do that by motion? Okay, so I will entertain a motion to postpone, to refer this item back to the CAC for further discussion.
So moved.
Thank you. We have a motion here by Councilmember Risley.
Second.
And a second.
Helms.
Okay, second by Randy Helms. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. And we'll have more time to work through that when we are together. The City of Colorado Springs monthly change order report, Gail?
Yes, the change order report and the real estate log are provided for information in your packet, and I'm happy to answer questions should you have some.
Are there any questions? Okay, I'm seeing no questions. 9E, the City of Colorado Springs Powers North reimbursement update. Gail.
Yeah, so the update is in your packet as well, and you can see in the bottom of the bottom row of the table, the total has been expended to date is just under $6 million, of which PPRTA or subject to PPRTA reimbursement and just over $5 million. As Larry mentioned earlier, they are well into construction. We anticipate them being done before the end of the year.
Okay, wonderful. And item 9F, the El Paso County monthly change order and property acquisition report.
Likewise, to the
anything on
city,
that,
our
Josh?
information is available, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions? Okay, there being no questions. Before we go on to item number 10, agenda topics for next meeting, actually, maybe this is item 10. What time are we going to start our next meeting? We have a conflict because of 9/11 memorial ceremonies in the morning. So PPACG needs to start their meeting later. Andy.
Yes, and we talked about this morning with the PPACG board, and since the round of board meetings in September is on 9/11, I know the City of Colorado Springs has a big event at 10 o'clock in the morning. There's a big one up in Teller County, Woodland Park at 9 o'clock in the morning. So what we talked about this morning with PPACG board is starting that meeting at 11:30 that morning, but that would potentially impact the PPRTA board, and thinking if we can shift the start time for this board meeting from 1:30 and start it at 2 o'clock instead. We think it's going to be a relatively short, manageable agenda. we thought that might be a good way to accommodate both board meetings, but wanted to put it out there for feedback.
Is everyone okay starting next month's meeting at 2? Okay, we have a thumbs up from Randy. I can see that, a couple thumbs up here and there. And Jennifer, that doesn't need to be done by motion. Does that, we just call it as a special meeting because it will start later?
Yep. Yeah, we just have board consensus today and Rick will notice it as a special meeting.
Okay, so next month we will start at 2. Are there any additional agenda topics for the next meeting?
I'm out of town
Anyone
that
have-
day, so we just have to have a backup for me, Holly.
Okay. That's not the week we're all in DC, is it? Okay, good. All right, good. Okay. Okay, any further member announcements? I know there's a lot of parades coming up. Hope everybody takes time to enjoy Labor Day. And go ahead, Andrew.
If I can mention one, and actually Gail, I might put you on the spot. Do you want to mention the DSIP grant that you sort of alluded to it last week, and or alluded to it earlier, but that's a big deal and a great partnership that the city was able to secure to help improve access into Peterson. Gail, did you want to say a few words about that?
Yeah, absolutely. That DSIP grant, that's the Defense Community Improvements Program. It's a Department of Defense grant that comes and helps local jurisdictions do things in the community that help support our armed forces. PPACG kicked us off with the JLUS study and then applied for a grant a couple years ago to get us started. And then we were able to get congressionally directed spending 2 years ago, really to get the design. But the big thing is we've got a construction grant award to actually make this happen. And this has been in partnership with PPACG, El Paso County, and CDOT to make this happen. We should see construction for that Northgate interchange potentially as early as next year. So it's a big deal for our community and for Peterson Space Force Base.
And it sounds like there's a potential PPRTA component there as well for the local match, so.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the city's put up 30% of that construction funds, and that's what we are using the intersection improvements program for that.
Good stuff.
Nice. Okay, is there any further business that needs to come before the committee? The board. See, you got it. You're right on track. All right, there being no further business, we are adjourned. Thank you everyone for attending virtually.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Thank you.